Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. Today we're going to be talking about revision. So when we look at revising circumstances, what that means is that if we're going through reality, right, and we have something that happens and it's not to our liking, the proper perspective, from my opinion, is to look at that thing as a precursor to getting what you want. So if you have, a bank balance that isn't the way you want it, or you have any type of 3D circumstance that's really not how you would design it, right? What you do, instead of going into the external world and moving things around and taking action and doing all these other things, you want to go straight to the source of that thing. So when you operate with metaphysics, what you're doing is you're essentially looking for the root cause of all circumstances, and you're changing the root cause of all circumstance. And what the root cause of all circumstance is a vibrational reality. So if I have this glass right here, right? I can put it down, and then I can hold the glass with my imagination in my hand, and I can feel the mason jar, I can feel the weight of it, and I can attach my consciousness to the vibratory signature that thing has. Vibratory signatures are important because if I can lock on to the vibratory signature, whereas in third dimensional reality, I can't change that unless I do something physical, right? Like if I wanted to change that jar, I would have to go and refill it with Gatorade or, fill it halfway full so it's not as heavy, right? I'd go and I'd do something to change its property. From a vibrational standpoint, when you're operating in that imaginative fourth dimensional realm where I have the imaginative mason jar in my hand right here, I can feel the weight of it, I can change its properties in my imagination immediately. And what the key is, the link is that if I can change those properties and I can now believe more in the changed imaginative fourth dimensional reality that I have constructed with my mind than I do in the third dimensional reality, that third dimensional reality starts to move and conform to my assumption of reality. So assumption is basically an uncontrasted belief of how something is, right? So good example is like if you assume that you are a winner, right? And you just have this really strong identity that you're a winner, right? You go into a game and you lose 10 games in a row, but you're like, no, I'm a winner. I refuse to accept reality. I am a winner. And then eventually you come out on top. It's the same type of assumption. So assumptions, when persisted in, harden into facts. So anytime that you have something that happens that's not to your liking, all that is an indicator that the vibrational reality below that surface level cause or effect event is not the way you want it. So instead of getting upset at the event, you simply look at what caused the event and understand that you have total control over the vibrational reality that is the root of all causation. So if somebody comes up to you and they say something that you don't want, your job is not to react to that or to validate that. You're not meant to see that as fact. You're just meant to see that as a flight gauge that's telling you, hey, your vibratory fourth dimensional reality is misaligned from your ideal. You now have the option to either accept that misalignment or you can realign yourself through the process of revision, knowing that you're the creator of your own reality. If you don't believe you create your own reality, then none of this makes any sense, and click off the video right now. But if you believe that you create your own reality and that you are the cause of circumstances in your life, then what you would do is you would take that same person in that imaginative fourth dimensional reality and you would replay over and over and over and over and over again with all of the spiritual sensation of that being real, that person saying what you want them to say to you. And what you then do is you then accept that as the truth. So you go back to Jacob, Esau, and Isaac. Isaac is blind. That's your I amness. Then you have Esau, which is your third dimensional circumstance. And then you have Jacob, which is your fourth dimensional imagination. Your I amness can identify with either the circumstance or it can identify with the imaginative act. So anything that does not live up to your standard from a third dimensional reality, you simply don't identify with it. You just see that as transitory and a great stepping stone to you getting what you want, but you don't finalize it and you don't crystallize it by, in the Bible, they call it giving it the birthright. you reorient to your fourth dimensional imagination, and you see, hear, taste, touch, whatever your ideal reality is in imagination. You go, no, that's the real reality, right? No matter if 1,000 times the third dimensional reality starts trying to show you the opposite, you persist in that imaginative act and you continually validate that as the reality. And what that does is it begins to train your mind to focus on what you want and to leave any type of state of consciousness that is not living up to your expectation. Revision is the best skill ever, because what that does is it allows you to basically turn all of the negative circumstances of your life into positive ones. And once you master revision, you begin to clean up your life so much from a vibration standpoint that some of these big core issues that were plaguing you start to dissipate and get resolved, that now you have much more stable foundational footing to where your attention isn't being dragged into all these problems all day, to where you can really create what you want, right? So revision is the perfect stepping stone to mastering imaginative creation, because once you start to work with these things that aren't favorable, now you can start to understand things like the feeling state of a manifestation is very important. If I manifest something that I want, but it has a negative feeling state for it, I won't like the manifestation when it gets here. So if I want to manifest a sweater, right, and I'm hell-bent on the sweater, right, you could substitute sweater for SP, you could substitute sweater for money, you could substitute whatever you want, right? If I get that thing, but the vibrational quality, the emotional quality of it is poor, I will not frequently enjoy or appreciate that manifestation, right? So if I get the sweater, but it's super itchy, I technically have my manifestation, but the quality is poor. So when you begin to revise, you begin to focus on what you want, and you begin to pick up the subtle details that are important for proper manifestation. Because if I'm visualizing money coming in, but if I have it in my vibratory escrow where the money comes in ways where I have to work all day, or I'm fucked because there's too much shit going on, then my vibrational creation is poor because I didn't cover that base, right? So when you start to revise, you're working on much more than just a visual level. You're working on a feeling level, right? You're trying to get it to feel right, because if you can get it to feel right, you can have it affixed in your reality and you can really appreciate it and enjoy it, and it's going to enhance your life over the long term. So using revision to practice all of these mental disciplines in terms of revising the different circumstances, right? Like even if you looked in the mirror and you didn't like your outfit, immediately on the spot, revising that as if you looked in the mirror and saw the outfit that you liked is an important aspect of training that mental dynamic constantly. And everything is difficult until it becomes easy, right? So when you revise and constantly work with your imagination, you will get to a tipping point to where you gain a level of competency that allows you to go through the process much faster, much easier, and get results much more reliably. So don't be upset if you revise a thing a couple times and then it doesn't go through. Keep at it, keep persisting, keep working in that wish fulfilled, because once you have the understanding that the causative element of all circumstances is based in that type of fourth dimensional imaginative reality, you've got it, right? You may not be a master of using it all the time, but you at least now, through certain experiences and certain manifestations playing out the way that you have them in your mind, you've now linked yourself to the power that you have by using your mental mechanics to construct imaginative acts and breathe them into reality. And once you get to that point, you have such confidence and such certainty that there is no person, place, or situation that you cannot influence to your benefit, that you start to get reinvigorated with life, right? It's kind of like stepping outside and being like, holy shit, I was in a dark movie theater for like 30 fucking years. And now I understand that the movie is actually a video game and I've had the controller in my hand the whole time. So once you start to go through these imaginative acts, you start to develop the different elements of your imagination. You begin to discipline your imagination. You begin to become intolerant of circumstances that are not favorable, not in a negative judgmental way, but in a indifference way, in a cool, that's great, it's a great stepping stone to what I want, this is what I want, right? And your mind just automatically begins to focus on solutions over problems. And once that happens, you begin to build momentum. Second thing to really touch back on, because it is important to understand the quality of a manifestation. If you have a manifestation and you're like, dude, I just want this, that neediness with enough repeated affirmation and living in the wish fulfilled will manifest. But the purity of the manifestation will not be what you want it to be. So really working on your feeling state as if it's the best thing ever or it's better than expected is a great safeguard to ensure that once something does manifest, it's better than expected, it's cohesive with your reality, and it feels great, right? The most important thing is I am the person who has it. The feeling of already having it now, present moment awareness, having the thing now, and then making sure that that feeling of being and having is congruent with positive emotion. Because if it feels really good to have the thing and it feels really good to be the person, then you're going to be able to maintain that much easier, which means your manifestations are going to be much faster. And then once it gets here, you're going to enjoy the finished product to a level where you are satisfied with what you created. Because there's nothing worse than getting what you want and being like, God, this fucking sucks, right? So really focus on the dynamic of how it makes you feel. Because if you can master that and you become unconsciously competent with that, now every single thing that you're creating has this element of being like really good and really legit. And before you know it, you're living a grade A life. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Additionally, we have lots of great coaching options. If you click the link tree, other than that, go conquer.